Have you ever heard a story so impossible, so tangled in quiet shame and whispered secrets, that it felt like fiction? I thought I had. Until it happened in my own family, a story that began with a scandal and ended with a truth so strange. Even now, I hesitate to believe it myself. It started last summer, when I went back to my father's estate for the first time in nearly 2 years. The sprawling, white-bricked house stood at the edge of the sleepy town of Bellington, nestled behind iron gates and rows of sycamore trees that whispered like old ghosts when the wind stirred. My father, Richard Holloway, 62 years old, silver-haired, sharp-tongued, and stubbornly alone since my mother left him 5 years ago, lived there with only the housekeeper, Rosa. Rosa, a quiet, doe-eyed girl no older than 21. My father had hired her straight out of a convent school when she was barely 18. She was an orphan, or so I'd heard, with skin like porcelain and hair so dark it looked almost blue under the sun. I barely knew her, but the town knew of her. Whispers of her beauty drifted like smoke through the cafes and barbershops. They called her the Virgin Maid. The pure one. Untouched, unassuming. Men stared. Women speculated. But Rosa, as far as anyone could tell, was practically mute when it came to attention. That's why, when I arrived home that sweltering August afternoon and found her eyes swollen with tears, her slim frame trembling as she tried to avoid my gaze, I knew, instinctively, something was wrong. It wasn't until dinner that the full, stomach-turning truth began to unravel. We sat in strained silence at the massive oak table, my father nursing a glass of scotch, eyes darting toward Rosa as she shuffled past with dishes. "Dad," I finally said, watching her. Is everything okay?" He didn't answer immediately. Just took another sip, jaw tightening. The sound of Rosa retreating down the hall faded, and finally, he spoke, voice low, weathered. "She's pregnant." The words hit me like a slap. I stared, unsure I'd heard right. "What?" "She's pregnant," he repeated, staring into the amber liquid. "3 months along, the doctor says." My throat went dry. "Dad, Rosa's a kid." "She's 21. 21 and pregnant? By you?" My voice cracked. He flinched, but didn't deny it. I could feel the blood roaring in my ears. Jesus Christ, Dad. But that wasn't even the strangest part. The town, as it turned out, already knew. Or at least they thought they did. By morning, I couldn't even grab coffee at the cafe without overhearing hushed conversations. Old Holloway knocked up the maid. They snickered. Poor girl. He probably forced her. Always knew there was something off about that house. The Virgin Maid. What a joke. But Rosa? Rosa wouldn't meet my eyes. She floated around the house like a ghost, barely speaking. Until I cornered her by the garden that evening. "Rosa," I said gently. "Look, this is none of my business, but are you okay? You don't have to stay here if you don't want to." Her dark eyes widened. For a moment, I saw pure panic in them. I want to stay," she whispered, fingers twisting in the hem of her apron. "Did my father hurt you? Did he?" "No." Her voice cracked with such intensity that I startled. "No, it's not like that." "Then what is it?" You're pregnant, Rosa." Her eyes filled with tears again, but she shook her head. "I swear, I'm still a virgin." I froze. The words, absurd as they were, settled over me like a heavy fog. She meant it. She believed it. "Rosa," I started, unsure whether to laugh or cry. That's not possible." Her gaze didn't waver. "I know how it sounds," she whispered, "but I swear on everything, I've never with anyone." Confusion, disbelief, anger, they all tangled in my chest. I wanted to demand answers, to march back into the house and tear the truth from my father. But there was something in her eyes, something raw, trembling, that made me pause. I didn't know what scared me more, that Rosa truly believed what she was saying or that, somehow, she was telling the truth. Days passed. The estate felt like a pressure cooker ready to explode. My father avoided me. Rosa barely slept, her eyes hollow, her cheeks sunken. Then one late evening it happened. I found a faded manila envelope in my father's study, tucked beneath a stack of old paperwork. Inside were hospital documents, DNA test results dated last week. Curiosity prickled my spine as I scanned the papers. And then I saw it. Paternity test results. 99.9% match. Richard Holloway. My stomach lurched. It was real. My father was the father of Rosa's unborn child. But then another document slipped out, older, yellowed, from over 2 decades ago. Subject: Rosa Alvarez birth records. My eyes skimmed the page.
And stopped.
Mother: Maria Holloway. Father: Richard Holloway. I blinked. My brain scrambled to process the impossible lines on the page. Rosa wasn't just the maid. She was my sister. Half-sister. A hidden child, conceived during my father's quiet affair with a young housekeeper long before my parents' divorce. Maria Alvarez. The name rang faint bells from whispered arguments I'd overheard as a kid. My father's other woman. But the scandal had faded. The woman, I assumed, had vanished. And now, Rosa, raised in a convent, hidden away until she was old enough to work, brought here under the guise of housework. But why? Why now? The floor swayed under my feet as understanding clawed its way into my chest. But the pregnancy? My mind recoiled at the implications. It was monstrous, inexcusable. Yet Rosa believed she was a virgin. And maybe, in her mind, she was a pawn, groomed, manipulated by the man she never truly knew was her father. The rage, the disgust, the sorrow. It all knotted in my throat as I stormed into the living room, the documents clenched in my fist. My father sat by the fire, staring at nothing. He didn't even look up when I burst in. "You disgust me," I spat, throwing the papers onto the coffee table. His eyes flicked down. No surprise registered. Only a quiet, resigned weariness. "She didn't know," I hissed. "You did. And you let this happen." His hand trembled slightly as he lifted his drink. "It wasn't supposed to. I wanted to protect her. But it's too late for that now." My voice cracked. "You raped your own daughter." His eyes finally met mine. Wet, broken, defeated. "I didn't touch her," he said quietly. I froze. "I never touched her like that," he repeated. "The tests, the pregnancy, it's impossible." I can't." I stared, confusion clouding the storm inside me. "I had a vasectomy 20 years ago," he whispered, voice raw. "Before your mother left. It's medically impossible." The room spun. The papers blurred in my vision. The pregnancy was real. The DNA was real. But the conception? The mechanics of it? None of it added up. Unless someone wanted this to happen. Someone manipulated all of us. The truth never fully came out. The pregnancy remained a mystery. The DNA test stayed stubbornly positive. My father, broken by guilt and circumstance, withdrew from the world entirely. Rosa kept the child. A little boy, born 7 months later, with dark curls and haunting, familiar eyes. The town moved on. Scandal softened into gossip. Gossip faded into silence. But for me, the questions never left.